I'm Lisa Ayers, the Director of Communications at the Realtor Association of the Fox Valley, and welcome to the May edition of our panel series, Real Estate Experience Live. This is a series created by the RAFV Technology and Communications Committee. The goal of this series is to tackle real issues in real estate with realtors. Our topic today is going to be a fun one. We'll be talking about social media do's and don'ts. But before we get into the discussion, I'd like to say thank you to our panelists for taking the time to educate us on this topic. And I would also like to thank everyone in the viewing audience for joining us. If you have any questions, be sure to put them in the chat box and we'll get to them after the panel discussion is over. So please stay on till the end because we'll have a live Q&A after this is over. So let's get started. First, let me introduce our panelists. First, we have Marki Lemons, 6-time Realtor Conference and Expo featured attendee, one of 100 speakers selected out of over 500 speakers to speak at the Realtor Conference and Expo 7 times, both face-to-face and virtually, with high program evaluations. She's an Inman closing keynote speaker and is a licensed managing broker, realtor, avid volunteer, major donor, and international best-selling author of the Modern Real Estate Professional's Guide to Success. In 2019, Marki was nominated as a Riz Media's Real Estate Newsmaker and inducted into the REBAC Hall of Fame. Please welcome, we are so excited to have you, Marki. Please help me welcome Marki Lemons.
Thank you very much. I'm elated to be here today.
We're so excited to have you. Thank you. Next, we have Lucy Mullarkey. She was featured in Top Agent magazine and works with all clients from first-time buyers to luxury, and also has experience in corporate relocation and Realology military move. She has seen great results in using social media and video to attract clients in the past few years and has lots to share with us. Please welcome Lucy Mullarkey.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Lastly, we'll have Justin Letheby, who will act as the moderator and panelist for this event. Justin is a 15-year real estate veteran and is also a John Maxwell Certified Coach, teacher, and trainer. Justin is better known as the E-Professor of Real Estate and works with companies to deliver solutions in the area of sales, marketing, systems, and professional leadership, and has trained clients across the U.S. For RAFV, Justin has served on the Technology and Communications Committee for 7 years and was the chair of that committee for the past 3 years. He also serves on the Education Committee, is a licensed CE instructor, and is an instructor for MRED and RAFV. Welcome to the panel, Justin.
Welcome, everybody. I can't wait to get this running.
Okay, well, with that, let's just turn it over to you, Justin. Take it away.
Well, welcome, everybody. Thanks, Lucy. Thank Marki for coming here. I appreciate you both being here and spending time. And folks, we're going to talk social media today. We're going to really just get into it. And you know what? I'm going to start off with the bad before we get into the good. So let's just talk right now about what we see realtors doing, or what we have, maybe we'll just say what we've done ourselves that we should not be doing today, right? So Marki, I'll start with you. What things have you done that you've learned that you shouldn't do, or maybe what are you seeing that we shouldn't be doing that's out there?
Well, the first thing is listening to what your grandparents told you, right? And that is to not discuss religion or politics. For me, it is, I never want to alienate anyone. Now, have I worn a t-shirt? Yes. However, I don't have public discussions around politics or religion. I believe everyone has the right to choose what is good for them. But in today's society, I want people to take a step back and actually look at that profile. There's so many fake profiles, it's unreal. So we see adults having arguments with bots, right? So you're arguing with an automation. And so is this really indicative of that person's personality? It is okay to not respond. You do not have to have the last word. So what I'm seeing is a lot of adults who feel the need to have the last word, whether they're arguing with a real person or not.
And it's very true, right? AI is huge. We won't even get into that conversation today, but those conversations can feel real when they're very much not real today. So that's amazing tips. Lucy, how about yourself? What are some of the things that you've learned throughout doing your social media that you have learned that are just best to stay away from or really not do today?
I think you have to, I haven't done it personally, but I've seen a lot of, especially like newer agents who are maybe advertising other agents' listings without their permission. And you're like, oh, don't do that. And it's like, I know there's other like newer agents in my office. If I post it on Facebook, I'll say, feel free to share. And if they're giving you the permission to share it, then yeah, share away, use that on your page, leverage it how you will, but don't ever share things of another listing agent or another realtor or a broker without giving them the proper credit and also permission. You shouldn't be doing, if you're showing someone's listing and you're doing a virtual tour on your camera and then you're posting it on Instagram, if you're not being clear that that's not your listing and getting permission from that listing agent to do that, it's a big no-no. And I've seen a lot of people do that and it's like, oh, don't do that.
Well, and you make an amazing point, right? Because one, that's the rules of reciprocity, right? We have broker reciprocity already written out there, and those rules are already well established. We need to be very cognizant and aware of those rules. But let's even take that back a little bit further. The one thing that I always talk about is stop doing the right mouse button steal. I don't call it copy. I call it right mouse button steal. Stop doing that. Google and Facebook aren't free. They are not free domain. They're not free to use, right? You don't have the right to take a picture and put it on your page. We are real estate agents. We are practicing commercial people that when we are marketing, we are marketing from a commercial perspective. So be careful of your copyright laws as well as the broker reciprocity rules, because I watch it all day long, and I have, much like Marki, I have training fodder all over the place on what not to do as far as that goes, because we see it done all the time.
Sure.
So I want to stay on this just for a second. I don't want to get too much into the knots because I think it's much more fun to talk about what to do. But I do want to spend a couple seconds. Marki, Lucy, are you both in Facebook groups?
Yes.
Marki, I think, knows where I'm going with this question.
Yes, I'm in Facebook groups and I have a couple of groups myself.
So let me ask you, how nervous you get being in not your own Facebook groups and other people's Facebook groups, real estate Facebook groups. How nervous do you get with that?
I've left more Facebook groups than anything else because, one, they're simply not adhering to license law or the Realtors Code of Ethics, and they are consistently having discussions that violate antitrust. And so I scrutinize any group that I am going to join before I join it. Now, some of these groups, they have, like your little welcome photos that kind of show you what the group is about, that you like, oh, there is absolutely no way that I am going to be a part of that there group. And so I've had to turn down invitations because if it's going to jeopardize my livelihood, I'm not I'm never that bored that I want to jeopardize my livelihood.
Yeah, I completely agree. Lucy, how about yourself? I mean, how cautious are you for joining Facebook groups?
I agree with Marki. I think if I've been invited to other realtor groups, and once you start seeing them breaking those antitrust rules, talking about commissions, talking about, and just talking about deals, talking about clients, it's like, and yeah, I usually don't even post. I'll sometimes kind of like voyeur because I'm just, it's Facebook. It's hard not to just like watch it unfold. But yeah, once you start seeing some really obvious laws being broken, then it's best to just get out of there, because it's like Marki said, nothing is worse costing your livelihood. And I always have said that nothing's worse losing my license. This is how I support my daughter and myself, and I'm not losing it.
Well, and it's easy, right? I mean, the thing I think we all need to be cognizant of as agents is there is a true thing, guilt by association, right? You thumbs up, you put a comment, agreeing or disagreeing. You're now involved in those conversations, whether you should be or shouldn't be.
Well, Justin, I think that as real estate professionals, we honestly believe that there is privacy on a social network. and then even more so if it is not inside of a private group. And there is zero, and I mean zero privacy on any social network. Everyone in that group is not your friend. They will easily take a screenshot, one of you being there, right? Then two of your comments and what it is that you post, and they will share it with the world to see. So a quote that I often use in class is, don't say anything that you would not want plastered on a billboard with your face attached to it. And that also comes with being in these different groups. And so you can't hide yourself essentially in the group. So if it is going to hinder if it's going to change a person's perception about you, don't join the group. We had a situation on Clubhouse where there was a former RVP in the group, and people asked her to leave because they did not feel comfortable speaking in front of her, because there is the belief that you can't record on Clubhouse. You can't record in Clubhouse, but an Apple device isn't my preferred device. I can just put another device beside it and record from it. So it's reality, there's a disconnect.
Well, and there, I mean, your phone, I mean, let's not get too nerdy on this stuff, but you could actually download a recording device right from your phone and record straight from there as well. There is no assumed privacy, right? I mean, that's the problem that I run into a lot of times with this, is we all assume that we have privacies when we don't. This is not talking in your house. This is not talking in your garage. This is not talking in your front yard, although it might be closer to your front yard than anything else where anybody can hear it. We are quite literally talking to an open network. And just something to be very cognizant of, right? It's open, it's available. And the other thing that I will always say is we got to be careful about the group mentality, right? A person on itself, we can think and we'll have logic, but when we get to those mass numbers, sometimes that logic just goes away. And just got to be very cautious of that stuff. And really, I'll go back to the very simple thing. I give all designated managing brokers the biggest kudos in the world. If you think you're nervous or whether you should or shouldn't, you need to ask that designated managing broker if they even want you on that group or not, because they may know something and they may say, no, you're not allowed. And that is their right, because you're their agent. So thank you. I appreciate that. So that's enough of that stuff. I think we could go on that the whole time, but let's not go on that stuff. Let's talk more about social media and how it looks today, right? So Facebook's been around for years. Twitter's been around for years. YouTube's been around the longest, right? We've had social media all over the place, and we'll talk about the tools here in a second. But let's just kind of talk about how you see real estate agents, yourself or your groups around you, using social media today. Or what do you give me, like one good aha you've seen an agent do that you like, or something that you're doing right now that you like on social media? Lucy, I'll start with you first.
Sure. So I think videos always catch the most attention. I mean, you can post, still photos and stuff like that, but whenever I post a video, I find I get the most engagement back. And that can be something from doing a walkthrough on one of your listings to actually posting a video and talking about, tips for first-time home buyers. And I think too, like the more natural and kind of, especially for giving advice, if you're just kind of, one day I pulled up before showing, I was waiting for my client, and I thought, I'm just going to jump on and start talking about lenders and why it's important to use your realtor's preferred lender, how that can help you stand out, and just kind of flew off the side. And after that, I went and showed the house. And when I came out, I had a couple of texts from some past clients and from some people who followed me on social media and were like, can you connect me to one of your lenders? I'm thinking about moving. So it's just kind of, I always try to be as natural as I can and be myself. And obviously, yeah, there's a time to be, professional. And you can I've seen a lot of realtors shoot some really nice professional videos of like themselves, of like commercial, kind of like their own kind of commercial that they post on their Instagram and Facebook, which I think look really nice and professional. But I think a lot of people want to see you as a person and also your knowledge of the real estate market. I mean, they want to know that you actually know what you're talking about. It's not just fluffy pictures of, this listing, that listing. It's like, do you actually know all the stuff that you're presenting? Do you know that meat behind it?
I think 100%, right? I totally agree with that. Amazing perspective. And I love how you said this, right? You just did a quick video. It wasn't anything art. You didn't make a stressful event, which we'll get into that here in a little bit. 'Cause I think that's where we fail a lot of that. We stress ourselves out before we get in front of the screen. I think that's huge. How about yourself, Marki? What are you seeing yourself, other agents doing right now that you say, you know what, that's just unique, or that's really cool, and that's some things we should duplicate?
So I don't know if this is the ideal question for me, because as a real estate instructor, I'm always going to seek the new, right? Oftentimes real estate professionals, they duplicate what they see other agents do. So I don't necessarily see, I love it when I see it. I just don't see it often, something just unique. And I like it when people might even question what they do, right? But it's still legal, it's ethical because it's so new, right? So I love to see innovation actually inside of the world of real estate. And honestly, one of the companies that I was impressed by, it was overall the company and how they branded each of their agents. So what I'm seeing right now that I'm loving are the agents who are leveraging Canva to build a cohesive brand for absolutely no money. That includes the color palette, the logo, changing out their header photos, and coming up with consistent marketing. But I want to encourage real estate professionals to identify their niche, know exactly who they're talking to, and to differentiate themselves from everyone else. That's what I like to see. I don't like to see the same thing, right? I want to see who's going to be unique because they understand who they are there to serve. And that takes a little digging and some research. And I'm not necessarily always seeing that.
100%, right? I mean, I think, it's the one thing, it's your unique value proposition, call it what you want to call it however you want to identify that. But knowing who you are, knowing who your voice is, and, kind of going back with Lucy, that she knew what she wanted to do. She talked about mortgage stuff. She got people out there because they related to those conversations, I think are huge. And I love that suggestion of Canva. It's a free tool. And if you want to spend a little bit of money so you open up the options, that's great, but you don't have to. You can do everything for free. And I do love that. And, much like Marki, I'm the same way. I'm pushing the trends as much as I possibly can. We're kind of all in the same boat in that regards. So, that always makes me happy talking about new things. But Lucy, going with what Marki said, Canva, do you have tools that you like right now? Do you have things that, because, one of the things we run into as agents is we don't have enough hours in a day, right? We're trying to sell, we're trying to write contracts, we're trying to negotiate, we're driving, we're doing all this stuff. So do you have tools in your arsenal right now that you are loving to simplify your job as an agent / social media?
Well, specifically for social media, I love Canva. So Marki said, I was like, yes, I love Canva. In fact, I've actually taught other agents in my office how to use Canva because I'm like, it's such an awesome tool. And I have used it not only for social media, but I've used it to kind of make general branding for myself for my buyer packets, my buyer folders when I meet my, a new buyer, as well as when I go on listing appointments. So like it all looks uniformed across the board. It's and I use kind of the Coldwell Banker blue, but it's also kind of spinned to me as well and more personalized to me as well. So it mixes in well with the Coldwell Banker marketing that I received from my company, but it's also then more of that personal touch because obviously when they're working with me, they're choosing to be me as their realtor, not just Coldwell Banker. But Canva, for social media is just awesome. And once you it's so easy to use. And once you get used to it, I mean, I can, if I sell a house or I have a new listing, it takes me literally a couple minutes to whip it together because I already have all my templates in place that are marketed and branded to what I like to use. So it looks consistent when I post and it's so easy to use. And you can still go in there and get creative and mix it up, but Canva is such an awesome tool. And I only use the free version and I've gotten, it's great. I've had actually other people who follow me on Instagram reach out to me and they're like, how do you make your posts? Because they're always so cool. And it's like, a hairstylist who's like, I want to try to make posts. Like I'm like, use Canva. So Canva is what I honestly mainly use for social media.
Yeah, I'll agree. I think Canva is great. I think it's a great tool. And they've actually added, I don't know if anybody's aware of this or not, but they've added functionality in the last half a dozen months. One of them is you can now post from the tool straight to the social media account you want to go to right from it, which makes it awesome. It's also added scheduling to it, right? So now I can schedule my posts through Canva, so I can plan my week out ahead of time, and that stuff goes out automatically, which I absolutely love.
Yeah. Awesome.
I think those are great opportunities. The thing I will say is, if you're someone like myself who has not 1 ounce of creative thinking in their genes at all, I love companies like Fiverr and Upworks who will get me started. They will design my branding templates, and then I can import them back into Canva, and I can keep it going from there. So don't afraid to leverage what you don't have in your own skill set, is what I'll add as far as that goes. Take those tools out there. So that's great. Switching just a little bit gears, just a little bit. What other steps, what other systems have you guys added into your system? So we talked about Canva, we talked about that, but I really want to sit there because I know we have them. I know you both have them to a degree to get this done, but how have you mastered doing this so consistently? Because consistency is the biggest trick to this. So for your systems, how are you doing that? Lucy, I'll start with you. So how are you doing? How do you do this? Do you have a morning ritual? Is it a weekday ritual? I mean, how do you get these things set up so you are doing it as often and as successfully as you're doing it?
I typically, as part of my business planning for the year, I plan out my week, like every month, break down it weekly to how many posts I want to do. And I always try to do at least one video. At least I should do it more than every 2 weeks, but I try to do a video every 2 weeks because I don't love doing videos, but you get more used to it. There are tools that you can, like you said, like Canva, you can schedule in advance for them to post, but I tried doing that and it just, I don't know what it was. It just didn't seem natural to me. So what I really do is at the beginning of the week, I look at, okay, do I have closings this week? Do I have, a home inspection? Do I have things that I could tailor off of to make a social media post, to give a helpful tip, to share a client testimonial, things like that. So I actually kind of plan it weekly, and I typically try to post 3 to 4 times a week of either a video, a new listing, a client testimonial. And obviously your schedule gets busy and, we're not perfect, but I feel like for me, it feels more natural doing it that way and kind of, but there's great tools that if you're a planner to set it up where you can actually have it post at a certain day, certain time. And I can't think of the name of the one that I tried because obviously I didn't use it, but, I like to do it just, because I think I always have my phone on me. It feels more natural to just do it as it comes. But there's some great tools that you can actually plan out the entire month. You can plan out the quarter of when you want to post.
Well, and there is no right or wrong, right? I mean, and I think you nailed it, right? I think the thing that everyone needs to hear on that is you do what makes sense for you as long as you're going to do it consistently. Yeah. And you are doing it that way. So I think that's great. I think we'll help you with tools here in a second, because I think there's at least 2 of us in the room that might know a couple of them. I'm just saying, there might be a couple of us that know it.
Always learning.
So, Marki, what systems do you have in place, or are you much like Lucy, where you're doing it rather organically?
I have systems in place, and then I'm partial organic, right? So one thing that I'm committed to doing is creating video content every single day. The reason is I believe in the concept that a picture's worth 1,000 words, and 1 minute of video content is equivalent to 1.8 million words. So generally, well, not generally, but on stories, they disappear in 24 hours. So I want to appear in the story feed because so many people just look at that feed, especially when we start thinking about an Instagram story, a Facebook story, a Twitter fleet, and now LinkedIn has stories and Pinterest has, everybody has stories, right? So that 1 minute of video content, but I set aside 1 hour every single week to record long form video. It's going to be an hour video. I'm repurposing that video content to my podcast. I then take that and it becomes a blog post, an email goes out. And we also do photo quotes. So I have a full-fledged marketing repurpose system that starts with video. But I also believe that video is the only form of content that you can repurpose without recreating. So I'm always starting with video. And when it comes to video, a lot of people are very focused on the visual, what it looks like. But I want them to start thinking about the audio, because that audio gives you that podcast. It gives you audiograms. It gives you audio to text capability. So your email, your blog post, your photo quotes. And so for me, it's one, we didn't come into real estate to use social media and technology. When we got here, we were kind of forced to do so, right? How do we repurpose and create content for the different learning styles and the different platforms where people are hanging out on? Because you're never going to force them to change their preferred platform. So my goal is, how many ways can I repurpose one piece of content and put it in many places as humanly possible where my audience might hang out? And with that, it is not about me. It is always about the audience. So I have to talk to them the way that they search and give them the content in the form in which they can digest
it. Love that. Absolutely love that. I think, and we're jumping a little bit ahead of that question because I was going to go straight to that question. So I appreciate you reading my mind, Marki. But I think one of the things that's fascinating for us right now as agents, when I teach them and I talk to them, is we get caught up. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. And the honest answer is we all know what to say, right? We get questions asked all the time. We get all this stuff and out there. It's going back to what you just said. Let's take that content, create it however you want to. I think I agree with Marki. I think video is by far the best format out there because there's so many other utilizations after it's created. Ignoring the fact that that's the most common way people are viewing content today anyways. Let's just ignore that conversation for now. You can audio it, you can transcribe it, right? There's all sorts of tools for that. And, Marki mentioned a couple. I love otter.ai because it's a great transcription tool. I like Meet Edgar and I like later.com because both of them will schedule out my posts for me. They'll get a lot of that stuff pre-done. But I had to build it ahead of time to get it done. And much like Marki, I do the same thing. It's all long form at this point in time. I'm creating content every week, hopefully. And then even if I don't, the nice thing about it is I got biteable chunks that I still can push out throughout the week, even if I get behind schedule, which is beautiful about that. So I'll mention 3 other tools real quick, or one other tool, Hootsuite, because I know, Marki, I think you're still using that, right? Because you were grandfathered in. Hootsuite's no more. Never mind.
Well, let me tell you this. I was grandfathered in at $5.99 a month. And last month they sent out an email that they changed their pricing and it will be $75 per month. I can't justify in my mind why I would ever go from $5.99 to $75. So I'm using Later. And Carrie just did a course on utilizing Facebook Creator for all of the Facebook assets.
That's a good tool.
Freaking phenomenal. I mean, like, it isn't, if you are straight up on Facebook and Instagram, I will tell anybody use Facebook Creator, and you're probably going to also have more reach inside of those 2 platforms, and it's free.
Yeah, Creator is great. I again, if you're on one platform only, Creator is the only way to go, I think. I think that's awesome. I want to point out one thing. I don't want to go back to what not to do, but I do want to make a point that I want to make sure everybody understands with this, what Marki said and what Lucy said. Neither one of these folks are using or even encouraging right now, I don't want to speak for Lucy, but I don't think Marki said it anyways, is to hire a third-party company to create all your social media content. Okay, maybe someone's got an exception to this. Let's hear it. That's all I want to hear that because that's what I think is interesting.
No, I only have one exception to it. I believe that everyone needs to create video content and then they can outsource it. Right. Because then the content will have your face and your voice. But under no circumstances do I think you should outsource your social media and technology unless it is your video. So I got real strict rules. And let me tell you why. When I leave my house, I can have a baseball cap and a mask on. And if I start talking, people in the grocery store, the restaurant, they turn around because they know my voice now from watching my videos. And so we never thought that that audio is serious. So people, they might not recognize the face, but if they hear me talk, they're stopping and holding conversation because now they remember the voice. There's nothing, I mean, absolutely nothing more valuable than video. And when you outsource your content, you're going to sound and look like everybody else.
Mhm.
So that strict, real strict rules on that.
I concur with those rules. That's exactly what I would say. Leverage the content leverage the content already created. Don't leverage the content. Right.
Love it.
So Lucy, I mean, let's not if there's an opposing view or if you differ, let us know. But would you agree or disagree with that perspective of that?
No, I would agree completely. For sure.
So, because I mean, I heard you say at the very beginning, right? You're building the video, you're doing that stuff. I don't want to put you on the spot or not, but I am curious. Marki and myself, we do try to leverage our material. Are you doing similar things, or is everything you're doing right now one-offs, so to speak?
Are you saying like, am I getting?
So are you repurposing your material?
Oh, like using it? Well, I'm not. I feel like I probably should. I'm learning a lot from Marki. I like it, girl. Yeah, I think, from what I've used video for, I mean, like, obviously I'm sharing it on multiple platforms, but I'm not going back and repurposing it again. And it's definitely something I feel like I need to be more proactive at doing that. I didn't even really think about it. So yeah, I think they're kind of more like one-offs, kind of the videos that I've done.
So I understand this. You're basically, when it's essentially one and done, right? Do you repost it later on? Like, do you have it posted several times throughout the week, or is it?
So my main social media that I use is Instagram and Facebook, and they're tied together. So if I post on my Instagram, it's going to my Facebook. And then same for if I post a story on Instagram, it's going on my Facebook business page. Story as well, but I only have one Instagram that I use for business and for personal, and that actually has more followers and I get more than my Facebook page. I mean, my Facebook business page does well, but it's definitely have a bigger following on Instagram. I find I get more interaction on Instagram. So yeah, so it's going to both those places. I've dabbled in posting on LinkedIn. I just, I feel like I'm really, like any realtor, I'm really busy and I'd rather focus my time with my clients. And the nice and easy thing is, if I'm doing anything, I'm posting it from my phone, from Instagram, and it's just going to Facebook and it's taking care of those kind of two things. Because I feel like I have a younger crowd on Instagram and then I have like an older crowd on Facebook. And then I have clients who follow me on both, and it's great either way. So it's getting, the videos are getting posted on Instagram and Facebook, but that's really it.
Okay. And, again, I think it's great, right? Always do something, right? And always look to do what you got to do. And it's working, right? Absolutely 100% is working for you. So that's a great thing. I set that question up because I know I've had this conversation with a couple of people, one might being in the room already. How often do some of us, or how often do you think we should be posting the same content? Marki,
Like
I'm gonna
video?
lean to you on the
So today would be a prime example. What I started to do was, because I have a private membership group, I actually record most of my video to the private membership group because it's a benefit to have early access, plus to do Q&A with the person who has decided to allow me to interview them. So I'm starting on YouTube as a member benefit. I download that video. We then take it and we create a podcast. So today that podcast went out, Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud, Alexa. We also sent out the email. We also posted it as a blog post. Now, we don't make the assumption that you've seen or heard any of it. So now we're posting the actual photo quotes to get you to go back to listen to the audio, to get you to go watch the video, because we take the video and put it on YouTube. We put the long form and then we put an aha moment from the video. All of that happened today, right? It hit all these different places, right? So now my numbers are going to go up high today. what I'm going to do is take different photo quotes over the next week and then lead you back to my website, because I have the audio embedded on my website. I have the video embedded on my website. And I might spend a day on YouTube because I need to share those videos. I'm going to download that little aha moment, and I'm going to share that through things like IGTV. I'm going to bring it back and put it on Pinterest and load it as a video. Now, I've taken all these quotes and put them on Pinterest, but now I'm going to load the video because the video views on Pinterest is outlandish. Okay, outlandish. And so I'm going to hit them hard every Tuesday, and then I'm going to drip them for the rest of the week, sending them back to the content, because here's the truth. The algorithm is going to prohibit everyone from seeing any one post. Make the assumption, right? Gut assumption, that only 10% of your audience will ever see one piece of your content. My number one goal is I need to share, reshare, and repurpose this content at least 10 different ways in order to hopefully touch the full audience. And you're still not getting the full audience, right, on any one platform. So that's kind of my little system that I use.
I love that, right? There's a quote by Guy Kawasaki, who used to be a very big social media influencer. And this was when Twitter was the most prominent social media tool out there. So mind you, it's changed, but the premise is still true. He goes, I will post the same post until I get someone to say enough. And then I'm still going to post it one more time. Right? For the exact reason Marki just said, is when we're doing this, no one's seeing it. The algorithms are designed, right? Designed to get the most eyeballs, but they know that we can't do it all at one time because we'll get numb to it, right? We'll just get numb to it, and they know it. So they got to keep it fresh for us. The algorithms are very, very mean to us if we're trying to get our attention. Plus there's thousands of people trying to get the same people's attention. Perfect. So I love that. So here's what we're going to do. We've just got a few minutes left here. I just want to end on one thing here real quick. I appreciate your time. Realtor Association of Fox Valley enjoys this. And I know when we're seeing this, it's going to go gangbusters. You're going to have questions left and right because you're going to say, what was that tool? What was that is? But here's what it is. Last question, last thing I want from each of you. Lucy, I'll start with you. Tell me your best tip, here's what I know that works, killer things. This is the thing that I know works every day for me in social media.
Sure. So kind of how a couple of things that I've used that have helped me grow my following on social media is using a unique hashtag to myself. So my name's Lucy. My hashtag is Lucy I'm Home with a little house emoji. And I put that on everything. And I also have learned from other social media type classes that you want to use at least like 10 hashtags when you're posting on Instagram. You want them to be unique. And you also want to use ones that have been used less than 2,000 times because it can help. Something with the algorithm can help to get you more followers. And I've done that. And I've slowly increased my following like by 600 followers just by doing that every time, is using different hashtags, and don't have them all just be about real estate, have them be about random things. And you start getting followers from different areas and different walks of life. Also kind of just engaging with your followers. You want people to follow you. You want to, if someone leaves you a comment, like it, respond to it. Go onto their pages and support them. I will do that with other realtors in other areas. I follow realtors in New York and Florida and California, and just to kind of see what they're doing, get ideas. But also I interact with them, and interacting with them can help drive some of their followers to come follow you. So it's helpful to interact with everybody, people you're following and people who are following you. And then I think too, just being yourself. Whenever I post about my personal stuff, I'm a single mom, I have a German Shepherd. If I post about my German Shepherd or my daughter, or just going out with my girlfriends, or family or whatever, those posts seem to have the most interaction, the most likes. The people who follow you want to know you. They want to know, that's why they're following you. So, it can't always be real estate. It can always be business. Show who you are, show your personality, and be yourself. And, obviously, yeah, it's great to give helpful real estate tips and to do videos towards that, but also be a human and show, your hobbies, show things that you enjoy, show your family, show whatever you're comfortable with. I know some people don't want to post about their children. That's fine. But do your comfort level and show your true personality, because I think that's, people, then I think it makes me more comfortable too when I do videos, because people just kind of know I'm kind of goofy and I'm not taking myself too seriously. And it just makes it easier and you get more followers. And that to me has been the best thing. Be authentic, be yourself, and support others.
Awesome. I think that's great. Those are 100%. I couldn't agree more with those. How about you, Marki? What is that power tip that if anybody walks away from today, they're going, holy cow, I just X amount in my business?
I think that realtors should talk to people the way that they search. And so I start with google.com/trends. And this actually is a really recent example. And I realized that the term contingent had gone up substantially, 150% increase. So I then went over to answerthepublic.com. I put that in and it gave me 209 different things around contingency that I could discuss. I then go over to wave.video/calendar and I incorporate a lot of contingent information because that's how consumers are searching. And then I alternate that with what are the different holidays that people in my community sphere of influence would actually celebrate. So I believe that we as real estate professionals need to start planning for online success. And the easiest, quickest way to see growth is to talk to people the way that they're searching and talking on the internet in real time. And you can use those tools for free in order to create that content.
Love that idea. Google Trends is so amazing. And embarrassingly enough, I can't tell you the last time I've actually used that. I used that when I first started as a real estate agent. I haven't used it in a long time.
I hadn't used it in years. And as soon I was like, okay, so this is really the step before answerthepublic.com, because we could see that growth, right? And I'm like, oh, clearly we aren't explaining contingent enough. And think about how many things are contingent upon getting to the closing table. I'm like, oh, I got content to talk about every single day. Just talk about one potential contingent, or even if you looked at real estate financing, right? There's a lot of contingencies that could come in real estate financing. So yeah, those are just some free tools, no barriers to entry. Do that research and plan for success.
I love it. The tip I will say is it's going to push for the next topic we talk about next month, folks. Get good with video. Get comfortable with video. Get good with video. Coincidentally, it's the next topic we're doing next month. Video is where it's at, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. It is where it is. It's the most consumed material it is today anyways. It's going to be even going more and more. Just get used to it. Last thing I just want to thank everybody. Marki, Lucy, thanks for being here. It was so amazing, very powerful. But we're not quite done yet, folks. If you have questions, please, hopefully you've been writing them the whole time anyways, but we're going to stay on for a few more extra minutes after this is done. Stay on and we're going to chat with you and answer your questions that maybe we talked too fast. We didn't say something that you want to know. We'll get those out there, but I do appreciate your time. Thanks, Marki. Thanks, Lucy, for being here. It was really appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me.